From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big early morning of Early Mornings LA with your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. We'll go over that $3.5 trillion recon that passed that'll pay viewers on average about $15,000 and has an add-on of $25,000 and $250 billion and those MSCs on top of that. Cluster number 1 passed, including hazard pay, and cluster number 2 passed, like home repairs. Cluster number 3 with those seniors money. We'll have all those incredible details in this recording. Then we'll be turning to the big surprises that no one saw coming, as guess what? They're back. Congress is back for 3 weeks. Then a possible deal with Joe Manchin. Whoa. A possible backup plan, not 1 but 2 with Joe Manchin. And then student loan debt forgiveness. More debt is being forgiven. Could it be yours? And finally, COLA is being raised. Oh boy. But guess what? 2 other raises could be coming right behind that. We have the latest details, which was going on with third stimulus, as an additional cash infusion is going out, and that cash infusion is for you, as one viewer got an incredible $36,000 last week. It's a big early mornings broadcast with the excitement brewing. Also, I have my personal commentary at the end of this video to show you how they can get this recon done, because they're almost finished. They got one big battleground to finish, and I got the solution for you. It's coming up in the final minutes of this video. We got a big early mornings broadcast, because the toast is toasted, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and it's time for a big early mornings live. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the board. We got so much going on in this recording with a $15,000 recon that has 3.5 as its price tag right now, but it would still pay you about that same amount of money, even though they reduced the recon. An add-on of $25,000 coming from Maxine Waters, a $250 billion add-on coming from Bob Casey. But the clusters passed so far valued at about $15,000 or hazard pay. Cluster number 2, home repairs, and cluster number 3, money for seniors. I got all those details in this recording. Then we turn to the big surprises, as guess what? Your favorite people are back. Yes, Congress is back in session. And over the next 3 weeks, they got the debt ceiling limit, this, and infrastructure to do. A possible deal with Joe Manchin, and then 2 backup plans at issue. Student loan debt forgiveness, more debt being forgiven, and then COLA raises being raised across the board. I have all those incredible details and more as we turn also to third stimulus, because boy, it's looking good from all different directions. That big money is going out for third stimulus, and one viewer got $36,000 last week. I'll show you how to get these sums of money as well. We'll be turning over to fifth stimulus and compare it against COLA. And then the final minutes of this video, you got my personal impression of what they're doing with the recon and how they can get it done. It's all coming up, and this is a big, supersized early mornings broadcast. So subscribe. Before 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video and consider becoming a member. LALATE is a 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. This video will take you there. And then I'm back with you with Morning's Countdown, our hit show at 7 o'clock. Live on air then at 9 a.m. with Mornings LALATE. Then 10 a.m. Mornings Crypto live. And 11 a.m. with Noontime LALATE live as well. Let's turn to that incredible recon. The recon is for everyone. Single individuals, married couples, people with children, people without children, seniors, people who are young, employed, unemployed, red states, blue states. It'll pay most viewers of this channel upwards of $15,000. As soon as it becomes long, I'll show you how to get that big sums of money. And it has 3 clusters of checks so far passed and 3 add-ons being proposed. Let's turn to each of those clusters of checks, starting right now with a package that'll pay viewers about $15,000. Cluster number 1, hazard pay, and $4,000 of elder care. They got it in there. So how'd they do it? Hazard pay, broaden the eligibility of earned income tax credit, increasing the amount of money, and then adding in money for elders. $4,000 to care for elder people, $4,000 to care for young children. Then they got college grants in there directly to the university, to the student, and then the Pell's grant made tax-free. They got home repairs in there. Yeah, I woke you up with that one, didn't I? You always hear the free home repairs. Yes, if you live in a low-income community, totally free home repairs in this first cluster pass. Then they got $51,000 of MSCs in there. The CTC, the child tax credit, broadened the eligibility, increasing the amount of money. $300 a month approximately every month for 18 years, $51,000 a child. Then they got money in there for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured. 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike, $7,500 for a new electric car, a little bit more if it's for business use or a truck. There you go. That is the first of 3 clusters of checks passed in a subcommittee of the House that pays you about $15,000. But now let's turn to the first add-on that they're looking to add on to those checks, and that is the whopping $225,000 from Maxine Waters. The illustrious legislator here from Los Angeles proposed $25,000 of hard cold cash going to you. This would be for first-time home buyers. Wow. If you want to buy a home, the first-time home buyers would get $25,000 of cash up front. I see this likely coming during the escrow. Right before you're about to close on escrow, federal government would pay $25,000 in your name to the seller. Wow, there you go. Now, with that, let's go to the second cluster of checks passed, and where we go, some more home repairs. Now, it's important to remember that this recon has nothing to do with pandemic. It's just life in general. That's why it's called Build Back Better America Plan, because it's life in general. They got paid leave, paid family leave, medical leave. How much is it? $1,700 a week if you make $80,000 or more per year. Split in half. Let's say you make $35,000 a year. That would be $800 a week. Split in half. Let's say you make $15,000 a year. That would be $400 a week. Wow. They got checks in there for child care programs. They got checks in there for Medicare seniors. Checks for household tax credits. Pre-kindergarten totally free, community college totally free. And then they got more checks in there for the home. Boy, they're just giving away all those home checks. These are for weatherizing your home. Whoa, totally free to weatherize your home. Even if you're not in a low-income community, you need to weatherize the home, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. As I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. Guess what? Time for that second add-on to the 3 clusters of checks, and the second add-on comes from the 61-year-old Democratic legislator, senator from Pennsylvania, Bob Casey. He's proposed $250 billion of additional money to go to you, seniors and people if you're on disability. How would this work? It would go for paid family home leave, for example. He has several problems he wants to fix with one idea: giving big money to states so they can offer you home health care, for example, for free. How would this work? The home health care provider is something people can't afford, so they're having their son and daughter stay home from work and take care of them. Now, Bob Casey looks to provide the money to the states so that they can give you a licensed professional to care for you at home. And then your son and daughter can go back into the workforce and make money. And that could cure also the labor shortage in America. There we go. Well, it's time to the third, the cluster of checks pass, and we have a big exclusive here on this third cluster. And the person that exclusive comes from, Bob Casey. Also listen to the following key words: clean energy. Well, in this third cluster of checks are a lot of items. And one of the key words you're going to hear in this third cluster is clean energy. Let's turn to the checks in this third cluster. We got checks for free school meals for all, checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for farmers, checks for free internet, checks for clean energy. Those are the words. Then checks for workers, independent contractors, and checks for seniors like dental, vision, hearing, and also Medicare, lowering the eligibility age. Well, in a world exclusive, this channel has heard from Bob Casey's office that the eligibility age on that Medicare will be dropped. And where will it be dropped? It will be dropped from 65 currently to what I'm hearing is 60 years of age. Wow. Of course, Bob Casey, 61. So there you go. There's a lot of good checks in this third cluster. One of them I like is totally free internet. So how you do this? You reach out to your city, county, state, say, I want that free internet. What's the username? The username is Scarf Lady Javita. And the password is sirloin, not so much. There you go. And let's turn now to the third cluster checks that could be added in there, the MSC, the IRS monthly stimulus check. Now, you have seen a lot of details on this, but three big great news details about these MSCs are the following. One, how do they add it in there? Two, the clean energy. And three, the big surprise about that statement from the chief of staff. Let's turn to the clean energy first. One of the provisions in the clean energy section of the third cluster passed is a big check for clean energy. And it has now been removed. Removed? Why? Because the Joe Manchin didn't like it and the president took it out. Whoa. So what's gone on with that money? Now it's dedicated to purple power energy. Yes, every time you remove a provision, the money stays in there and the money gets reallocated back to our programs. This is great news. We saw this during the Senate parliamentarians look at the recon. She said the money for judiciary has to come out, meaning not the money comes out, but the judiciary part comes out and the money got reallocated to us. The second part of great news is that the number one guy in the Senate, which is Chuck Schumer, I almost said Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer wants to give you a monthly stimulus check, so says his office. Going to last weekend, Chuck Schumer's office told viewers this channel he wants to give you a monthly stimulus check. Debbie Applegate was told the same thing by Chuck Schumer going into the weekend before, that he wants to give you a monthly stimulus check. And the week before that, we had Donnie's wife that heard that as well. Well, can we top that? Yes, as Chuck Schumer is now involved in the final process of the recon approval, which is the two-day Votorama. There's several ways to add add-ons to the recon. The Maxine Waters $25,000, the Bob Casey $250 billion, or the MSCs from Chuck Schumer. They can add it on the House, 2 places, on the Senate 1 place. Let's go over the details. First, we have a recon currently in subcommittee of the House, $3.5 trillion. They can add stuff to that before it becomes a bill. It's a recon package, not a bill yet, and it's a subcommittee, not in the House floor yet. So they can add it with Sheila Jackson, the number 2 legislator in the Progressive Caucus in charge of that recon package. They can add it to it before it becomes a bill for the House. Now, once we have the House bill and we look at it, maybe it's missing, they can add it to the House bill before the House bill goes for a vote. So before vote, but after it becomes a House bill. Finally, the most important part of the equation, the 2-day Senate Votorama is where they can add it. What is a Votorama? It's where you see Mitch try his best disco dance moves. You remember Disco Duck? Yeah, it's okay. The 2-day Votorama. It just sounds like the disco era is coming back, or Nancy's hairstyle. It just sounds like too much lobster sauce after a big night of just lobster binging. The 2-day Votorama is the worst name ever given for a legislative event, but that's what it's called. And during that 2-day Votorama, Mitch McConnell dresses up as lobster and can't get his way, but Chuck Schumer governs the Votorama. During the 2-day Votorama, the person in charge is Chuck Schumer. During the Votorama, the legislation proposed to make changes to the House bill is governed by Chuck Schumer. Who determines what they call for a vote? Chuck Schumer. Who determines what's changed? Chuck Schumer. And who wants to put in a monthly stimulus check provision? Chuck Schumer's office. And who wants to determine what you wear to the Votorama? Mitch McConnell. Because you got to show up as a lobster. Otherwise, he's going to filibuster you. So there you go. That is how they added in there. And finally, can we top that? Oh, we can. As that big letter from the chief of staff to the number 1 senator in the recon delivered to the viewer's channel, and the viewer transcribed it for me, explaining what the conversation said. It is absolutely incredible. Let's go over this incredible message. They now have in total, between the congressional senatorial staffs, received more contacts of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures in the American petition. Everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories from LA viewers. Now they have a better understanding of how the Americans are trying to make it through this pandemic because of you. They have heartbreaking stories from LA viewers, and now They have the voice of the people in you, LALATE, across the nation, and you have become too loud to become ignored. Wow, really, really kind. Let's go into that last sentence on screen, because this last sentence is about me, and it's also about you. Please continue your encouragement, LALATE, for the continued advocacy, as you are the professional voice of the people you have become, LALATE, and continue until this becomes law. Wow. Basically saying continue to push, continue to advocate until this becomes law. If you haven't advocated today, please do. If you haven't advocated yesterday or this week, please do. Make as many phone calls as you can advocating for why you need a stimulus check. And with that, we have a lot coming up in the second half of this video. Potential deal in the works with Joe Manchin, number one. 2 backups with Joe Manchin's in the work. Nancy's back in town. And for the first time ever, Nancy Jalapa and myself all see how to do this recon and get it over the finish line. Then student loan debt forgiveness coming in, and we could see another one this week. COLA raises being raised, and we could see 2 more COLA raises after that. We got big money for third stimulus, and you're going to see my personal message about how I think they should get this recon over the finish line. It's all coming up in a big early mornings broadcast. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on early mornings LALATE as a big morning is heating up. We got a lot in the second half of this video. Boy, you need to stay with me because it is heating up. In the second half, we're dealing with the excitement as your favorite people are back. I don't mean welcome back, Carter. No, the next best thing. Congress is back in town, and I have the latest detail with them back for 3 weeks. A possible deal with Joe Manchin. This is huge, and I'll go over why I think this is going to work. Then 2 backup plans with Joe Manchin, clean energy and carbon tax, and then student loan debt forgiveness. What does this mean for you? I have all the details and more as we go into a big second half. Then we turn over to fifth stimulus and how fifth stimulus has that big COLA increase across the board, and how COLA will be raised up not once but 2 more times after that. We'll be turning over to third stimulus, and we'll be turning over to where I think they can get this done. I'll give you my personal impression of the situation. It's coming up in the second half of this video. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. Thank you for making Monday a very big day, and this would be a big day as well. Like this video and consider becoming a member. We got big shows across the board. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto, currently playing on the channel. Join that show right after this. Then I'm back with you with Mornings Countdown at 7 a.m. Mornings LA live on air at 9, and then we go into Mornings Crypto live on air. Let's turn to the big exciting details that no one saw coming, and it came from the president. The president of the United States did that incredible deal of announcing student loan debt forgiveness, more of it. Let's go over all the details of what it is and how it works. The president forgave 1 round of student loan debt about a few weeks ago. This is for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Well, then the president has now stepped in and done 2 other types of student loan debt. First, he forgave student loan debts for individuals who are in the nonprofit sector. Then, late last week, he forgave student loan debts for individuals who are in the public sector. This is if you work for city, county, state, or federal government. This is huge. You work for the public library. You're a school teacher at the public school district. You are a sanitation driver. And you do this for more than 10 years after graduation. Your debts are now forgiven. I had one viewer who found this out during the morning's countdown show. He was in the live chat and he was tuning in to watch something else, and suddenly I brought it up. He said, "But sir," and I was in the live chat with him as well, "But sir, I have been a federal prison guard for 20 years since graduation. Do you mean my debts are forgiven?" I said, "Yes, sir. Your debts are forgiven. They were forgiven just a few days ago." He was shocked, and he found out the first news live on air. Wow, that is wonderful. And can we top that? Yes, your wonderful people are back in town. Here they go. Congress is back for 3 weeks. Debt ceiling limit, infrastructure, and roads and bridge, and your recon, all to be done. But a best possible deal is in the works with Joe Manchin. I have the latest details on that. And then we'll be going to the backup plan as well. It's part of a two-prong approach. Let's start with the first part, which is the possible deal. The possible deal was delivered on this channel over the weekend. The only broadcast channel that had this news because it was buried in a print article that they had the exclusive on it. They had heard a leaked source from the White House that the White House midweek last week floated an offer to Joe Manchin, which he liked, which is to take an existing provision of the recon parts that have passed and change the eligibility language so that the industries in Joe Manchin's state qualify for the money. Whoa, this is so obvious. Joe Manchin, he's a senator, he's from West Virginia, and has lots of big industries in the state, among them fossil fuels. And what they did in the White House was look at some of the provisions and said, we got to change the language of this provision so that the industries in Joe Manchin's state qualify for this money. Let's go over the details. The changes to the recon language would make it easier for coal and natural gas power plants in Joe Manchin's home state of West Virginia to qualify for billions of dollars of money under this recon, which would be a lot of money for fossil fuel producers in Joe Manchin's home state of West Virginia. Wow, that is big. Now, when we look at the recon and we talk about climate, we're not talking about is it sunny outside or is it breezy outside. We're talking about coal, natural gas, fossil fuels. And that brings us to the backup plans. The first backup plan was unearthed on this channel yesterday, and by the later in the day, I had the second backup plan. These aren't my backup plans. These are the backup plans they proposed to Joe Manchin. The first one you're going to like, which is the clean energy provision taken out, which I covered early in this video. In that third cluster is a subsection of checks for clean energy. One of those checks in there, Joe Manchin says, no, I'm not going to agree to it. Take it out. The president said, okay, take it out. Took out the program for that clean energy. Didn't take out the money. So guess where that money goes? Purple Power Energy. Yeah. So it doesn't go out of the recon, the money. It just doesn't go to clean energy that clean energy program. The program for clean energy gets removed. That is the first solution. The second backup plan is carbon tax. Now, the carbon tax is sort of interesting. Why is it interesting? One, because taxes are always a certain interesting issue of discussion. But this carbon tax reportedly has a lot of flexibility. You can do it and draft it and write it up many, many, many different ways. So this may be the solution that Joe Manchin may like. When you're looking at the recon, there are three things you got to do for the recon to get it done. First, you have to fix the prescription medication language for Kristen Sinema. She doesn't like it. I haven't heard anything about this for over a week, so this may be solved. In fact, the language about the prescription medication was sort of controversial and should have been fixed in the first place, so she wasn't off bounds about that. Then we have the recon price point of $3.5 trillion that has to be shrunk to the $2 trillion range. That's easy. I'm going to show you that in 10 seconds how I can get to 1.9, a blink of an eye, 1.9 trillion. Finally, the third section that they got to fix is the climate. There's a series of provisions in there for Joe Manchin doesn't really like about climate. And then you're done. So let's go to how you fix this issue about the in, out, in. Let's go to this provision of how we fix the money for the recon and bring it down to a price point that people agree to. When you look at the price point of the recon at 3.5 trillion, this was a price point that was funded based upon very long-standing programs. Now, what did the president do? What did Bernie Sanders do? I had told you back in July that there was a series of times where I said, I'm speculating. I think this is 20 years. I'm speculating. I think it's 10 years. Now we know that my speculation was correct, that those programs were running that. Let's go over what's going on and let's cut back to the details starting right now. When you look at this recon, it was originally at 7 trillion before we actually had a deal. That 7 trillion had very long running programs. At the time in July, I said, I think they're running 20 years. And that was my speculation. Well, that speculation was later confirmed. They were running 20 years. So what did Bernie Sanders do? He cut the programs down to 3.5 trillion. And at that time, I said, I'm speculating. I think he brought the programs down to 10 years. Now we have confirmation from Jayal Paul that he did bring the programs down to 10 years from 3.5 trillion. So that brings us to 2 weeks ago. When 2 weeks ago were upon us, I said, this is easy. The way you get from 3.5 trillion to something lower like 2 trillion is shorten the programs again. Bring them to 5 years. And then suddenly the Vulcan mind melt happened. Pelosi, Jayal Paul, and myself all said the same thing. Just cut the program durations shorter to less years. Keep the programs at 100%, and there you go. What does this look like? This looks like the following. You and I know that you need big checks, large checks, not watered down checks, big checks that go out fast, quickly now, this year, the third year, and then after that we figure out what to do. And that's what these legislators have now said as well. And that is what Pelosi said last Tuesday. We can do this by fixing the duration. And then we had Jayal Paul saying, yeah, we can fix this by doing the change of the duration. And then suddenly we had everyone on board to get this done. So it's not particularly that difficult. They also understand that the clean energy language is the most important language at issue. And that clean energy or climate language needs to get modified to make sure it fits everyone across the board. So let's go over all this starting right now. And it really brings us to where we are with this recon. 3.5 trillion 10-year programs, too long. So all you do is you shorten the programs down to an incredible 5 years, for example. Let's go over the quotes and what the legislators have said and why they all agree upon the situation. First, Mark Warner says, it's very important to get these things done. There's an urgency of ability to finish out the Build Back Better agenda. Debbie Wasserman Schultz says, we can't just let perfect be the enemy of the good. And Brian Schatz says, we have the trifecta, the House and the Congress, all Democrat. Now is the time to get this done. The progressives really have gotten what they wanted, which was clarity from the moderate Democrats, what they don't like. And this is so different than 2 weeks ago, when Bernie Sanders says, I need to hear what people don't like. Well, now you do. Pelosi gave us some great quotes, and those great quotes in the last few days are, the recon will get done because it must get done. Wow, number one. And then she really is laser focused on this climate. Understanding the climate is a key battleground. Get that climate done, you're done with the whole deal. We're finished. Central to the reconciliation bill is the climate part of this legislation. And Alex Padilla says, no climate, no deal, meaning you got to get the climate done. Then, of course, we have the great quotes from Bob Casey, the 61-year-old from Pennsylvania. He says, people walk up and say, this is really good. Why don't you do more of this? We haven't done this in really 40 years. That's why it's really good. And then the game-winning quote, of course, always with Jayal Paul. Jayal Paul says basically what you and I say. Quick check, fast check, do not focus on 10 years. We don't need to do 10 years. We need to do big checks quickly. Now, there's an urgency. We will reduce the number of years because the universality of the benefits and the immediacy of the benefits are absolutely more critical. And frankly, it's more important to us than having the entire 10 years of the program. There you go. Jayal Paul continues and says, we were happy to see the Speaker Pelosi say something similar to this in her press conference. And there you go. Three things you got to do: cheaper prescription medication, fix that language. It appears that might be the deal done because we haven't heard anything about this from Kristen Sinema or the White House in over a week. Number two, get that recon from $3 trillion into the low twos or high 19s. You can. Just cut to 5 years. Done. Deal. All the programs fully paid, full payouts. And finally, fix the climate provision. And there you go. Wow. I got more about this in the final 5 minutes of this video when I give you my opinion of what they have to do to get this done in the next few days. Now let's turn to, not that graphic, this graphic. Here we go. Cola. Your cola is coming down 5 to 6%. Wow. Going up 5 to 6%. This is huge. All your benefits are going up 5 to 6%, but guess what? They aren't going up just one time. They're going up 3 times. What? Yes, in this recording, we'll now turn to why fifth stimulus is going to come in on the back end behind that. Let's put fourth stimulus aside for a second. I know that there's a lot of money for seniors under fourth stimulus. We have the Bob Casey add-on. We have the third cluster has checks for seniors. Let's put that aside for a second and let's just focus on the big money for COLA and fifth stimulus. How does this work? Well, with COLA, first is going to raise your benefits up 5 to 6% in the next few weeks. But we ain't done there yet because fifth stimulus comes right behind it. And what does fifth stimulus do? First, it raises everyone's benefits up again, lifetime, one time, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits. Then they're going to apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark is inflation. And when they apply that new benchmark, you're going to go up again. Let's recap. First, under COLA, you're going to raise up one time. Then, let's say fifth stimulus becomes law in February. You'll go up again on top of that. And then, when they apply the new benchmark inflation, maybe next December 2022, you'll go up a third time. This is huge. Inflation is going to be 2-3% next December 2022. It's not going to be zero. COLA could be zero next December. Then they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law. It's going to go away. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work. It's going to go away. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to end. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear loss of benefits or no longer fear the marriage penalty. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married. And there you go. Now, time to turn to the exciting details of third stimulus. Who knew that third stimulus would still be paying big monies for rent across the board, even at this time of the year? Whoa, it's absolutely deliciousness. And we're going to turn to all those details of the third stimulus starting right now. When we turn to third stimulus, the incredible details is that money is still being paid out. Let's get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. And you're going to meet one viewer who got $36,000 last week because of this channel. We're going to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, food, snaps, holiday gifts, appliances, even potentially a window fixed here and there. Get that pen, paper ready. And we're going to start with the rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. This is huge. We're going to reach out to 6 places, and they have different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Next, they also have different pots of money. And finally, get ready for the keywords and the 5 nonprofits. All right, here are the 6 places you reach out to. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage, utility assistance because of COVID. Before you reach out to them, you want to read the LALATE newsletter that has that $13 billion in there covered that has now been released from Treasury. Know about it because you're going to be calling up asking for it. And here's the money that people have gotten for rent. Wow. $20,000 for Nisi, all the way up to $27,000 for Elizabeth. But now the numbers are going higher. Marketing, $36,000 last week for rent. That's on top of its $25,000. Here is the money for utilities, but now it's going higher. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000. If you have 5 utilities, reach out to all 5. And then we got SNAP. Why would you not get SNAP? SNAP is money for food. You get it from the Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them. The average benefits are going up an average of 25% lifetime automatically starting this month. Mark's brother-in-law is sitting on top of $26,000 a year because of this channel. Then get combo items, get multiple items. Here's Nancy at 3 items at $32,000. Here's Mark, who's now grown to $90,000. Here's Lorraine, who has grown to, that's not Lorraine, somewhere is Lorraine, who has grown to massive sums of money across the channel. You want to get as much money as you can. Now let's turn to the nonprofits. I got 5 nonprofits for you. And the first thing to start with the nonprofits is they do generally the same items as third stimulus. just with different eligibility. If you reach out to your city, county, and state and they said, we're out of money, excuse me, not they're out of money, that you're not eligible for the money because they have the money, that you're not eligible for the money, then reach out to the nonprofits. Here they are, 5 of them: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. They're featured in the LALATE newsletter as well. The other thing that's important about the nonprofits is they pay for items that the federal government doesn't pay for. Homeless people into shelters. They pay for clothing sometimes when you can't afford clothing. They also really focus on when it's really hot that you don't burn up, and when it's really cold you don't freeze to death. And what do they do with that? Fans in the summer, and in the winter, space heaters, portable furnaces. And let's say you have a broken window, maybe a broken window, so make sure that frost does not come in. They also do refrigerators here and there. And there you go. Salvation Army was a topic of this channel in September. I said reach out to them for those holiday gifts in September. I said by mid-October, they're almost gone. It looks like they're about gone. I have heard some viewers saying that they're doing holiday meals, which is a new one. There's always something new I learned from the view. So if you learned about something totally new, which I never covered, send me a private message on air. And here again are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Next, the unemployment benefits. Coming back from your state due to overpayment and computer error? Yeah, it's coming back. Average payment is $2,000 to $5,000. Reach out to your state to get it. And then the refund check from 2020 that you paid taxes on. That unemployment check is coming back from IRS. Average payment is $1,200 to $2,000. Margaret got it, God got it, Michael got it. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The link is under the video. Become a member today and get that incredible LA newsletter and the information for this channel Monday through Friday, 7 days a week. What's important to understand is when you look at forced stimulus, there's all these programs in 3 clusters so far past that'll pay viewers this channel about $15,000. Great news. You should be ecstatic. You should be ecstatic that you have found the place that'll focus on getting you these programs paid to you about $15,000. If you're new to this channel and have not done that before, then welcome. People who've been with this channel since January knows how it works. As soon as third stimulus was passed, there was focus on $1,400 stimulus checks everywhere else. It's sort of a little bit like now. Some people are just focusing on the stimulus check. I said in January, don't focus on the stimulus checks, focus on the programs. That's where you get huge, massive sums of money. It's not even close. It's like comparing apples and oranges. And I said I can get you about $15,000 from the programs under third stimulus. The average viewer has gotten $40,000 from these programs under third stimulus. So, daily, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I deliver that LA newsletter. It's delivered to you as a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP, via the YouTube alert system for members, and the LALATE alert system, also in the description, which is totally free to sign up for. That newsletter features all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus, features the big information about that Treasury, $13 billion, features the nonprofits again, features the keywords you're supposed to say, because I want you to get all these sums of money. Remember, get multiple rounds of money. People are getting 3, 4 rounds of rent. Get the rent into 2022. If you got rent on this channel in February, get another rent. It's the end of the year. Get another round of rent to next year. Get more utilities. Get these other additional rounds. So consider becoming a member today. Finally, let's go into the final minutes of this video as I give my impression of what they need to do to get this recon finished. You know, you look at this recon, and the hardest thing I always had with the recon over the last 2 weeks was what Bernie had a hardest problem with, was the moderate Democrats weren't saying what they don't like and what they do like. Now we know what they like. So this is easy. Just make the changes, and we're done. I mean, it just sort of sounds sort of simple, doesn't it? Well, the 3 changes are prescription medication language, which unto itself was controversial to begin with. You know what? It's just not a very popular provision. Change the language. That's for Kristen Sinema. Done. And it looks like it may have already been done because we haven't heard much about this for over a week. Number 2, shorten the duration of the programs. Instead of running them for 10 years, run them for 5 years. Instead of 3.5 trillion, we'll be at 1.9, will be signed in 10 seconds with the moderate Democrats out the door and done as a bill, as a law. Very, very simple. We don't need to focus on checks 6 years from now, 8 years from now, 10 years from now. We need to focus on right now. Big checks, media checks. We need to focus on you. And this year, next year, and the year after that. We don't need to focus on 8 years from now. Finally, what I really want to be a very big, clear message of opinion on this one, this is where I become very opinionated, is the climate. You see here that you have three things to fix, and the hardest one at issue is the last one, which is the climate provision. But this shouldn't be hard because obviously you know what reality would tell you is take the darn thing out. Take it out or take most of it out and do it in spring 2022. The climate, whatever bad it is, however bad the emissions are now, they're going to be just as bad in 3 months from now or 4 months from now. Do it in February 2022. We're going into the winter months. No one's going to be focusing on the energy. I'm not saying I'm against clean energy reform. I'm all in favor of it. But it's not urgent. It's not urgent. Whatever destruction to the environment has occurred has already occurred and it will still be the same in 3 months from now. You can get to this in February after you finish fifth stimulus. You do the SSI and SSTI reform, then you go to the climate in February, March. Chuck Schumer, as I had a graphic maybe back in April of this channel, where Chuck Schumer saved up all these recons. He has a lot of saved up recons. That's what they're for. If you think you can do climate by recon, do it by recon. If you can't do climate by recon, you'll never be able to do climate by recon. Do it then in the spring. At the moment, the urgency is one thing. Americans and their wallets, their bills. You have an urgency. You have an urgency for immediate, quick, large checks. Jayalapal, myself, and Pelosi, for the first time in the history of this channel, are all on the same wavelength. We all say big checks right now, immediately, get this done. That's what's need to go out now, as we're in October. This needs to go out now. This is the focus. And so if we go into these days of negotiations and you're looking at a provision and it's climate, and it's holding up the whole recon because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 provisions about climate, take them out. Take them out and do them in the spring. It's not saying that we're not going to do climate, just saying can't do it right here. Do it then because there's an urgency. You don't want to not send money to the American people because you held up for something for climate. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even sound logical. It defeats the whole purpose of social reform. Social reform has a timing issue and has a monetary number. Big money very quickly. When you drag it out, then it doesn't look like you're addressing the situation. The climate situation is there. It needs to be addressed. Doesn't need to be addressed in the first year and first term of this presidency. It can be done next year in 2022. And with that, I hope you agree with my opinion. If you don't, then here's some bacon for you. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. Then we go into Morning's LALATE Morning's Countdown at 7 a.m. Then Morning's LALATE at 9 a.m. live on air. Morning's Crypto at 10 a.m. and then noontime at 11 a.m. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. Recognize what your part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video. Stay with me all week, all day long, and all week long. We have big shows, and you saw how the news cycle was changing by the hour yesterday. We had totally different shows between evenings and afternoons. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and stay with LA.